want to walk you through the code samples that are available through the Connect Data Services portal. If you start at the home page, you scroll down to the Developer Tools area, you see a couple different areas focused on developers. If you click the Code Samples area, this can help you get started with your own projects. Now, there's some placeholders at the very bottom where it'll look up information for you. It'll look up, say, your base server URL, your tenant ID, which in my case is hidden. It will get your authority for connecting and getting bearer tokens for authentication, and your client ID and secret as well, which you get from the clients page. Now, the whole purpose of this is, as you want to build applications on top of Connect Data Services and any of the data that's found within it, you can use these code samples to accelerate your projects. So specifically, if you're curious about how to do authentication, if you follow this link, you're taken to the AVEVA GitHub, where you can see specifically our samples on how to connect securely using a client of your choice. It gets into descriptions of how authentication and authorization is handled with some very helpful documentation, and then includes examples on how specifically you can do this. So say organizers of a development team at your organization have let you know that you need to implement a Python-based project. You pick Python, it loads you into the immediate sample that gets through all the requirements, how to set up the sample, how to paste in your own information from your own portal, and walks you through setting up this so that you can begin getting started yourself. For instance, if we get into the program here, we can see how it's loading in that client ID, that client secret, and walking through all the steps to actually sign in and get a bearer token. This exact same walkthrough of code you would use in your own projects, for instance, if you wanted to create a Python-based application that connects to Connect Data Services and uses it as a source for data in Python. But the portal also has other sources as well. After authentication, of course, there's also working with the data in the SDS, or the Sequential Data Store. So if your users have questions about how to read and write data with time series indexes or with more complex data, these samples will take you there as well. Again, choosing in this case Angular, we can get into an example that walks through how you can connect to the Sequential Data Store, how you can read and write to individual streams. There's multiple other examples too, talking about data ingress. There are some users who use adapters, Edge Data Store, PySystem, and others to gather data in. If you'd like to gather data through your own applications, this will likely talk through how you can structure your own data ingress apps. But finally, some of the most exciting ones get into visualization and analytics. We have users who want to build their own applications, customer-facing deliverables, and portals. This gets through how you can connect to Grafana, how you can build your own Sequential Data Store visualizations, which walk through how you can pull data down and view it in your own dashboards and displays of your own writing. So anyone who's looking to build a client on top of Connect Data Services that includes visualization, highly recommend this sample as well. And then finally, there's analytics too. Again, if the goal is not just display data, but also about analytics, say in R, say in Jupyter notebooks, or even working with data views. Again, some amazing material in these examples. Now, all these can be found for free right now. You go to GitHub, to AVEVA, to AVEVA samples page. You can actually see these on your own directly by browsing through them from GitHub. However, if you also want to quickly navigate to them through the Connect Data Services portal, again, you can always find those under Developer Tools and Code Samples. And these will use the client credentials that you create. A lot of these will need to authenticate to retrieve data. If you're using this, it's very helpful to know that you need to go to the clients page and use credentials for a client. In this case, a read-only client for API access that I've built earlier. I would copy the client ID and I would use a secret value, which I would have saved earlier. Or I would click Add Secret to obtain a brand new secret that I'd like to use. So this is definitely a prerequisite. Having client credentials that you can use, and then of course having data either in your Sequential Data Store or Sequential Store data and assets that you've created earlier. But again, in summary, some amazing material here under the Code Samples page to help folks get started with their own custom applications. Highly recommend folks take a look at this if they're interested in doing development using Connect Data Services. And of course, if folks have questions about these samples, feel free to ask questions on GitHub, and there's even contact information here as well. Thank you very much.